Good morning. Hi, everyone. It's 10 a.m. chats with Paula. It's Friday morning, and this morning I'm chatting to you about mindful movement on the mat. So I hope you can join me. Say hi as you join in and pop a little comment in so I know that you're watching. I always love Fridays, and I always love my 10 a.m. chats. So, yeah, this morning I've been on the go since early. I was in with Sue, my personal trainer, and kids packed off to school, done a little bit of work, and now I feel like Friday begins. So, yeah, I was thinking back to when I practiced with Peter Sanson many years ago. And good morning. And I remember he was talking about he teaches Ashtanga, for those who don't know. He was talking about the Ashtanga practice. Hi, Mark. And it really suddenly my eyes were open to how beneficial the practice can be if we move mindfully. If we're very much focused in each movement, each breath, as it comes, and then letting it go and just continuing to be in that present state. And it was I knew before, and I had heard teachers cueing things to keep you present, but I thought it was really interesting the way that he spoke about the practice and about being present on the mat. And yeah, I just thought it was something that we probably need to talk about more. And so that it came to mind, and I thought I'd share with you guys my thoughts on it. And so sometimes, we all come to the yoga practice for different reasons, right? There's different things drawing you to go to class initially when you decide to sign up for a yoga class first. There's all sorts of different things, like I want to be more flexible, I want to be stronger, I want to be calmer, I want to de-stress, I want to get out of the house. I have all these things going on, or different things, different people. Everyone in the room will probably have a different reason why they came to the yoga class. But so initially, we can be very much, exterior, like we're just doing it like a form of exercise, or because we're being told what to do, we're moving through the paces. But when we practice for longer, when it becomes a discipline, where we're practicing regularly on a daily basis or a weekly basis or whatever it is, over a period of time, we become much more mindful whilst we're moving through the practice. And we can let go somewhat of the need to make shapes and just be more in our body and just experiencing being in those different shapes without really getting caught up in them. Okay. And then that whole thing of just like experiencing the sensation where you're at, right? So you're in a pose and you feel the pose, and it might feel good, it might feel torturous, it might be you getting into those tight spots or something that you haven't felt ever or for a long time, but you're with it, you're with whatever comes up. You experience it, you don't try to run away from it or grab it. If your practice feels amazing and you're like, this is a great practice, we're not trying to cling to that. We're just being in our bodies and notice how something feels. Like, find the connection with the body. And then to move on, like the next move, the next sensation, the next breath, to be with that. And so sometimes, particularly if we're doing a vinyasa practice, for example, we've done a whole load of poses on one side, and then you move through your vinyasa and you get to down dog. And as the student, you're like, that you have to do all of that again on the other side, and you can let your mind wander, and you can get distracted. But if you can let go of what's just been, doesn't matter, it's done, it's in the past, it's not real anymore. And then you get into moving through the sequence on the other side, just with the pose you're in, not thinking about, well, I know how many more poses, like she did 10 poses on the first side, we have to do all that again on the second side, right? But if you can let go of that and just be in the pose, in your body, with each breath as it comes, that's where your physical practice becomes a moving meditation, because it's like any form of mindfulness or any form of meditation where you're concentrating on something and your mind doesn't get distracted with external forces, with other people in the room, things from outside the building, what the last pose felt like, what happened before you got to class, before you got on the mat, you know, what's coming further down. I know we're heading for handstands. You know, I hate handstands. I start to sweat. Like, you're in wherever you're at and you're not thinking about anything else. It's just the present. Then it's a form of meditation. It's like an hour. You go to an hour practice, or you practice at home for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is. It's like that length of time in meditation. If you can keep your mind with what you're doing, you can let go of any experiences that have already come up on the mat or in the day or in the week, and just be in your body. And the same with the future. You're letting go of what's coming, whether it's the physical practice or the anticipation of lying down in Shavasana, relaxation, or what's to come in your day or your week, your workload, whatever it is, that you just leave all that. Good morning, Gail. So it really is just to be with the pose, be with the sensation, and then be with your breath. So when you manage to keep your mind focused, and yes, our minds wander, but you just come back and you come back and you come back. It's a form of meditation, right? And then you're with your breath, and your breath acts like a tool to, we call it, when we're heading for meditation, we're looking for pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses, and we concentrate, and then we meditate, right? And it's kind of a constant back and forth between the two. Your mind can be drawn out, you draw it back in. You find your periods of concentration, it's a meditation, and then we get distracted. So it's a constant juggling. But the breath is a very useful tool to keep you present. Like, if you use the breath as a form of concentration, and you just keep your concentration on the breath, and you move with the breath, and you don't lose the breath. You know, you're always aware of it, and you're keeping it calm. Well, then it's going to help you to move more mindfully. And two, it becomes then that you have an hour of meditation and pranayama practice, and physical practice, all at the same time on the mat. So you're getting great value for money, right? You're getting you're getting your money's worth for the time that you're spending on the mat. And I often think about that. I mean, I have a fitness background as well, and my mindset was always, well, make the most of the time. If you're gonna train or you're gonna do your yoga practice or whatever, you might as well be there completely and give it your all, whatever that needs to be that day. It might be to surrender, or it might be to switch off the mind, or it might be to go fully into the poses, or whatever it is. But I've always had that mindset of like, commit to this. You're here anyway, so get the most out of the hour on the mat, get the most out of your time and your money. And so that mindful movement on the mat means that you get your physical practice, but you also get a pranayama practice, and you get a meditation in one go, in one box. Amazing. The other thing that you'll find is that when you move like that in your practice, that actually you're much, much, much less likely to injure yourself. Like, injuries happen when we lose concentration, right? Or when we're being forceful, or when we move very quickly without being fully present. So if you can be in the present moment, if you can be very much connected with your body and the sensation in your body, and the each moment of the movement, right? So as you pick up the foot, the sensation of the foot lifting from the floor, the flexion in the hip joint and the knee joint, the extension of the leg forward, the landing of the foot very gently from the heel to the toes, bending into that front knee and coming on up into warrior one, right? If you were to think of it, every little movement that comes to get you into the next pose, then the chances of injuring yourself as you transition there are so low, because you're so aware and you're moving so mindfully and you're connecting it with your breath. And then the same as we transition out, it's easier to be mindful coming into the pose than coming out of the pose, right? Because if you've ever been in that situation, like type it into the comments if you're watching. What has it ever happened that you're in a pose, you get there gracefully, but then you're thinking, if we don't get out of this pose, like I'm ready to move on, my legs are tired, I've held it long enough, and as soon as the teacher tells you inhale, come up, or exhale, release, whatever it is, you spring out of the pose. The mindfulness is gone. It's like, just get me out of here, and you come out. And it's in those moments, so coming out of a pose is probably you're more likely to injure than going into the pose, because you lose the concentration and you lose the mindfulness. And it's in those moments, can you stay connected? Like sometimes we're practicing for years and years and years and we feel like we've got it, we've nailed it. But unless that you can keep that awareness throughout in the moments where you're super challenged, then you really probably haven't nailed it. Like there's more work to do. There's always work to do. Morning, Christine. So so I feel like notice on your mat what's going on, right? Notice where the times are, where you come out of that inward focus, the connection and the meditation. And then can you challenge yourself the next time that you're on the mat, which I hope will be at lunchtime, Gail, because Gail usually comes to lunchtime class on Friday. But when the next time you're on your mat, can you be in that space of awareness and hold the meditation when you're challenged? And then as you transition out of the pose, and when you're in a pose for a period of time where your mind gets distracted and thinks, okay, I'm done here now. And sometimes, a lot of the time, it's not the body that needs to come out, but it's the mind. We get bored or frustrated, or we expect more, or we just think, right, time's up, I'm done. And then you want to move on. Okay. So have you ever, is this landing with you? Have you ever experienced this? Let me know. Pop it in the comments so I know. But notice, because yes, at the start of your practice, it's easy, right? You close your eyes and your teacher guides you into a place of being centered. It's easy to leave behind what was going on. Sometimes, depends on how crazy your day was, but generally it doesn't take long for you to really settle into the space, ground down, forget about the rush to get there, the traffic jam, or the day at the office, or the morning trying to get the kids out to school, or whatever it is, right? You can forget that pretty quickly. And then as you sit at the beginning of the practice, very easy to be really mindful, the warm up, with all those juicy moves, and you're getting into all of the joints and you're breathing and you're flowing. That is where, you learn how to be mindful, and then you take it with you into the stronger, more challenging part of the practice, which is the vinyasas, or the whatever poses it is that, some of us, we like the open hip, but we don't like the closed hip, or we like the closed hip, but we don't like the open hip, or we're all right with the standing, but we don't like the seated, or the back bending. Oh, don't bring me into back bend, so there's always a part, because, we're more natural in some directions than others. So depending on your body, so there's always going to be a part that you feel challenged, and it's in those places. Can you keep what you had at the beginning of the practice and bring it through? And try somewhat to just be in acceptance of where you are, right? And let go of the battle and the wandering of the mind and the anticipation or the clinging to what you've just done, and be more just with whatever comes up, okay? And just kind of we'll wait and see, an experience as we go along kind of attitude. So I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope that it's that's registering or ringing some bells, because I feel like for me there was a moment I think I always knew, once I'd been practicing for a little while, I always knew that this was what I was trying to achieve and I was working on it. But when I heard it, in plain English, somebody saying like, this is why you've been asked to stay focused and to breathe and all those things, because we're trying to combine all of the elements so you get this full, well-rounded practice, and you come away feeling like you've done a full hour of meditation and pranayama whilst moving your body, and you get the full benefits from that hour rather than just one thing or another. And I found it very helpful. I come back to that a lot in my practice and on my mat. And I'll share a funny story. So last night I put the kids to bed and the phone rang, and it was my husband. And he said he was on his way home, ringing to see did we need anything from the shops. And he said, what are you doing? So I was making scones. I was about to start making scones. So I said, I'm making scones, but I am going to do my yoga practice then when scones are in the oven. And he said, oh, I could practice with you if you want to wait till I get home. Now, for those of you who know my husband, he doesn't practice yoga. He has done a bit. I used to go into his workplace and teach in there. He's done a little bit. Greg, who sometimes is watching, he taught him on retreat a couple of times, but really he's not a yogi. He doesn't have a regular practice. He dabbles a little bit here and there. So I said, okay, let's do it. I'll wait for you. So I waited. He came home and we started to practice. I have a subscription to OmStars, so I put on OmStars, but it was definitely not the right practice for him. So we turned it off, and I said, look, forget that. Let's just do something together. And so we ended up doing a very simple practice to help him to loosen out, really, because his muscles are tight and his back was bothering him and stuff. So my point in sharing it with you is because in my mind, when I had the kids to bed, I was going to get on the mat and do a strong practice. And actually, I did a very, very, very simple practice, like a joint freeing practice in the end. But it didn't, it wasn't about the physical practice. I just kept my mind in the same place that it would be regardless of what physical practice I was doing, and used it as a time to be focused inwards and to meditate and to be present. And so I hope that you can take that with you and do something yourself on the mat, that to check back in and to try and be present and be focused. And let me know how you get on. Let me know how it goes. It can be challenging at times, but once you're aware of it, then it'll get easier, and you'll find you do more and more of being fully present. So I hope that helps you today. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm in with teacher trainees this weekend. All weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and I'm so looking forward to seeing them and seeing how they get on over the week. If there's anything you want me to talk about next Friday, just pop a comment in. I'd be very happy to chat to you. If you fancy a yoga class at lunchtime, I'm in Pure Health in Ongar today at 1 o'clock, 1 until 2:55 or 1:55 even. So it's just a short of an hour long class. And if I don't see you on the mat, I will see you next Friday on 10 a.m. Chats. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.